Hey yo, what's good everyone? Twisted here with the Open Sorcery, and today I want to go ahead and talk about meeting in the middle, or finding common ground. Now, in doing so, right, going ahead and trying to get to a midway point between two parties, or shall I say two or more parties, two or more people, individuals, that they can go ahead and figure things out to where it is of mutual benefit and understanding can be had between them in whatever sort of situation may be. Whether it's as friends, it's between family, between lovers, between business partners, creative individuals, and so on. Now, I want to go ahead and say that in thinking about this concept, I'm going to go ahead and go the tarot route initially. And when it comes to that right there, the card that comes up to me in this sort of sense, and not necessarily in terms of the upright position, but in the reverse position, is the Five of Swords. Now, the Five of Swords upright is all about that sort of defeat, or that sort of, not being able to come to terms, or not being able to go ahead and accomplish something in itself. However, when it is reversed, this is about mediation and de-escalation and understanding, and not just going ahead and having defeat, not just going ahead and having self-defeat or some sort of conflict, or shall I say the afterwards of said conflict being negative, but when it is flipped on its head, it is more so of some sort of conflict occurring, but then two or more parties coming together to actually be able to get improvements to, once again, have it be a mutual benefit for both of them, to have some sort of healing occur, for there to be some manner of reconciliation. So once again, with the Five of Swords in the reverse position, that's mediation, that's de-escalation, understanding, all that sort of thing. So definitely sets the tone and goes along with meeting in the middle, finding common ground, all of that sort of stuff. And then I'm going to go ahead and jump from the minor arcana and go to the good old major arcana. And what sort of card sticks out to me that embodies this concept or relates to this concept? So, we had the Five of Swords reversed, which that's a mediation, that's a de-escalation. So, it's the coming together itself, right? From the point of conflict. And then we got, in terms of this major arcana card, Temperance, which in of itself is, finding balance, experimentation, and also compromise and integration or reintegration. So in this regard, right, being temperate, I kind of flubbed it real quick and I'm stumbling on my words at the moment, but being temperate or having temperance, it is all about coming from a place of peace, calmness, tranquility, being able to find that flow and not necessarily getting overwhelmed, and being able to balance things properly, let it happen as natural order. So in that sort of regard, right, when you are interacting with another person or another thing, another manner of life that is not necessarily human, whether it's any sort of pets you have, or if it's trees, if it's, what have you, trying to find that sort of compromise with your loved ones and or nature or anything of the sort, it is very much a thing where a lot of times we tend to go ahead and either be concerned with me in a selfish sort of manner in a negative sense, or we may go ahead and think of others too much without taking ourselves in regard. And that's where I'm going to go ahead and state right now that this does not necessarily have to be just about your relationships, your sort of instances, your sort of things with other people. This can be you with yourself also. In what ways, shapes, or forms are you going ahead and being too harsh on yourself? Maybe you're being too lackadaisical on yourself. Maybe you are going ahead and procrastinating, or you are, in a sense, going ahead and, to circle back to the harshness, you're going ahead and being too strict in what it is that you are doing with yourself, and you need to go ahead and let go. So if we're going to go ahead and use a driving analogy, are you going ahead and pumping the brakes a bit too hard and being too harsh or too strict so there is not necessary flow or movement? Or are you going ahead and pressing down the gas pedal a bit too much and you're going ahead and just letting loose and letting it fly without any sort of control whatsoever? So in that regard, in that sense, right, this can all be about meeting in the middle and finding common ground with others, but it also can be with yourself. So taking that time to reflect, to think about in what ways should you go ahead and look to find common ground and meet in the middle with yourself or with others in your life. Now, when I go ahead and I think about this, right, pretty much all this that we're talking about conceptually and however means it is to put it into practice, this goes along with a previous topic that was discussed on Open Sorcery between Devi and I a while ago, actually. And in more so of a spiritual woo-woo framework, it's the idea, the concept of practice, the coming together energetically of the mystical union. And some subtopics that were talked about in that were about hermaphroditus, kundalini, and the rebus in alchemy. Now, I will go ahead and leave a link in the description of this YouTube posting for anyone who wants to listen to that longer talk about the mystical union and all those sorts of things. But generally speaking, this comes down to, once again, getting a sense of understanding, finding balance with another person or with yourself, compromise, but also harmony, to go ahead and use a different synonym. And the reason why I state that now, in finding harmony, is in a sense of segue towards different entities and beings that you can call upon to help you either achieve harmony with someone else or some sort of thing or concept, some other manner of life out there, some sort of situation, what have you, or within yourself. And using the term harmony itself, right, where does that come from? It comes from and is related to the Greek goddess Harmonia, who under the Roman interpretation is known as Concordia. Now, when it comes to Harmonia, pretty much just do what you do in calling upon different entities and beings and such, in whatever means and methods that you do so, and in being able to draw upon their essence and embody that or have them work in your life, and to go on with different entities, different beings that may be able to go ahead and help you out if this is the route that you choose of invocation or evocation. You can go ahead and call upon Archangel Asariel, who has also been covered previously on Open Sorcery by yours truly. And they, in terms of the given subtitle for that topic, they are a Neptunian sage of temperance. So Neptunian, they're associated with the planet of Neptune and embodying the concept of temperance itself quite a bit. And they also have some Jupiter connotations as well, some Jupiter aspects within their being from just either research and or personal gnosis. I can't remember exactly which at the moment, but going ahead and allowing for Archangel Asariel to work for you in your life, if that is the route you so choose, of invoking this archangel and what have you. Now, I know that I rather often refer to this particular archangel quite a bit, and if we're going to go ahead and talk about a concept of meeting in the middle or finding common ground, having compromise, attaining a sense of harmony and understanding, right? where does that come from? That comes from a place of love. Whether it is you having love for another person, you having love for yourself, both ideally speaking, or just love in general, in the sense of having a goodwill towards humanity and living beings as a whole. So, Archangel Haniel happens to be associated with the planet Venus, and that is all about love, beauty, creativity, and all that sort of thing. So, that is another angel you can go in the archangel route. Now, instead of going archangels, we can go to the 72 angels of the zodiac in terms of their Hebrew terminology and labeling, the Shem HaMepharash. Another topic, another group of entities that have been spoken about on Open Sorcery previously, so link in the YouTube posting of this. But in regards to that collective of 72 angels, right, there are two in particular that stick out to me that interrelate with finding common ground and meeting in the middle in their listed traits and abilities and purposes and things that they specialize in. So, in referencing Angelic Sigils, Keys, and Calls by Ben Woodcroft, as well as Angels and Archangels by Damien Eccles, these two particular angels of the Shem HaMepharash happen to be Kevakel, who is an angel under the sign of Virgo, and overall is number 35 in the collection, or rotation, you should say, or I should say, because I'm the one talking at the moment. And also Yabamel, angel of the Shem HaMepharash, who under the sign of Pisces, who is number 70 overall. And funny enough how that turns out to be. 35, and then what do you do when you double 35? So 35 times 2, you get 70. So a little bit of fun with math there. But when it comes to what they specialize in their traits of if you're wanting to call upon, invoke them to assist in any aims of meeting in the middle, finding common ground, and so on. Kevakel is good with ensuring a fair inheritance is obtained, healing damaged friendships and family feuds, regaining the friendship or goodwill of someone you have offended, and ensuring that something is shared equally. Now, for the case of Yabamel, that is their traits, their specialties are bringing harmony and calm, helping you regenerate and heal after turmoil, and to find inner peace and a sense of calm in the middle of chaotic circumstances. So, when it comes to whatever sort of harmony or compromise or integration that you are in fact needing outside of yourself or within yourself, these are some helpful hands. These are some helpful beings that you can call upon in those aims. And of course, there are many other means and methods in which it can be done, including breathing exercises to start off with, or any other practices or activities. They don't necessarily gotta be spiritual, woo-woo, metaphysical sort of stuff. It can be just regular activities that you do that bring you to your center. But all in all, right, this is just one avenue just to go ahead and achieve that sort of goal. And generally speaking, I think I've gone ahead and run the gamut of what I want to address when talking about compromising for the sake of harmony and integration and finding common ground and meeting in the middle. So with that having been said, this has been Twisted with Open Sorcery, and stay frosty, Neguses. Peace.